the Vaporizer, one of the OGs of the league. He's been a proponent of this league since 2023, all the way back in February. But what started as a man that never had won anything, got himself 2 tournament wins, and is headed to the city of Bangkok, Thailand, in Super League. We say Sawatdee Cup and Sawatdee Thorn Yen. Hello and good evening to all the viewers around the world, in Thailand and all places, as we go into this ProCheck hosted by myself and Ard with Vapor. And joining on the scene will be my friend Sean Ard. We've been doing this for a while now. Vapor here, of course, as always. And Ard, I think this one's interesting because I look about with Vapor. I think about 2 things. I think about the success he's had this year, which has been interesting to say the least. Right? It's been very clean. Let's call it clean. And then you think about also him only being a 17-year-old kid. What are we looking forward to tonight? Because we did do a Vapor interview all the way back in December, but that was only 40 minutes, and it really wasn't much of substance. This one's going to be the first one of substance. What are we expecting tonight?
I think that's what we're going to expect. We're going to expect more than what we had gotten back then, and I think we're going to see more of someone that maybe only a few have known, but for us, it's going to be really interesting to figure out.
All right, well, without further ado, let's bring the Vaporizer on stage. Vapor, welcome to the program, man. Second time you did one of these, but first official one, because the first time we did this, very brief to the point. Feel free to introduce yourself to the crowd, man. We'll go from there.
Good to be here. I'm Vapor, Utah, USA. Great place to be. If you ever come up, just check it out. It's a good time. Been in this league like 2.5 years since I was like 14 years old, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, that's me a little bit.
Yeah, we'll go through the history of the Vaporizer, of course, and the origins. Now, you obviously, I usually ask the origin story. You got the invite from me, but what were you impressed by with this league when you first came in here? And a little bit about maybe your time of playing the game. What was your first experience as a kid?
I just remember, with my family, just like as a kid, and like that was a big thing that like me and my cousins would do when we got together. Was we would just have big Uno games and stuff with all the cousins, and obviously, the 2-player format's a lot different than the 13-person games we had going, but it's still a lot of fun. I think my first impression of this league was not making it into the March tournament. Just had a lot of stuff going on, busy with school, didn't quite understand the scheduling format yet, and just seeing how seriously people took this league, I was just like sat there and like, people actually take this seriously. Like, people actually get frustrated over this. Like, it's just a game. But I quickly realized, how justified that was, and how profoundly that would matter to me as my career developed and I gained more experience and whatnot.
Yeah, it is a learning curve. This league definitely has the elements of stream games difference. Really, just the growth of it. It's been ridiculous. We talked about year 1. We didn't even know what we were doing. Heads cut off. Now we're pretty dang established with everything. So it's definitely a growing curve. Now, playing the game, obviously, you've been one of those players that's had a lot of success this year. But I wouldn't say, we talked about G, our first guest. He was more top, bottom, top, right? He got to the top eventually. He was at the bottom of the valley. Nick was just straight bottom. Now he's up to the top echelon. Matt Johnson's been straight bottom, and he finally got there to the top. You've been weird because you've never really been at the bottom. It's been more in the middle, then a little upper middle, or premium economy, and now you're in first class. How do you balance and recompose your composition, knowing that you've been a mid-pack player, you just needed one last breakout, and that was this year?
I mean, yeah, it's felt a lot like, if I could put it in college football terms, because that's the language that I speak, I felt a lot like an Oklahoma State, right? you're really good every year. Like you're making bowl games. You're doing well and you're ranked, but you just have to find that one season where you do really well. Maybe it's more similar to Texas Tech, where you do really well. You get to that national championships, like 2006 Texas Tech, and you do really well, and you get there. But you think back on the years that you spent, right, just being hovering around greatness, but not quite tasting it. And I always wanted to taste the greatness. Like all the greats who've made Super League in the past, I wanted to be up there eventually. By the time my career came to an end or came to a hiatus, right? And it's been cool to try to achieve that upper echelon this year and to end up there.
We'll talk a little bit about, of course, college ball and the incoming hiatus, right, and all that, but I'll be towards a little bit to the middle. But I do want to bring up a really interesting point with your career. And before you even got to T4, right, you've had to develop an art of understanding the spot. What's the learning curve that you've experienced with this spot?
Yeah, there, excuse me, there are lots of different ways to play the bot, but I just think in, last year and coming into this year, I didn't fully understand it, but going into Jackpot June, like my experience in May, that lost to Ziemba, I think, that really helped me reshape how I played the game. And I tweaked it a little bit because I had success with it, but I tweaked it a little bit and just changed some things up here and there, some strategies and some pacing stuff. And obviously had success. I won 2 tournaments in a row after that. So yes, it took me 4 or 5 tournaments to really learn bot as a whole, and countless practice games, right? Because I love to just do that, just practice, play the game in general. But it takes a lot of time to really learn everything. But like to people that are listening, once you figure it out, you'll find a lot of success if you just stick to it.
It's the setup, right? At the end of the day, you have a setup in your mind, a style you have in mind, maybe a certain je ne sais quoi, it's a French term, a certain unique taste. And once you get to that point of, I don't want to say growth, but more just that flow state of serenity and knowing when to control the cards, knowing when to play ammo, knowing when to draw it back, it really makes you click. Now, you've had a lot of wins. I believe you had, 11, I think, in those 2 tournaments. You had 6 and 5, so 11. Of course, you won 500 games in the other 3 tournaments to cap off the 16. Which win or loss, because you haven't lost in a while, but which win or loss throughout the season really, I know you said Ed, but excluding that one, which win or what really shaped you to get to these runs? Because you've had some crazy games against Lamas, Andy. You had a huge game against Acosta, twice, ironically. I remember you lost to Toaster earlier in the year.
Yeah, I think I could point it to 2 games. The first one, both of them in Jackpot June. The first one was round of 64. I reverse sweeped Jenna, I think, or something like a reverse sweep. It was very close, but I won 4-3, and that was the least comfortable I have been in any series in my career. I did not want to go out round 1. I had a streak of 9-10 tournaments. I haven't gone out in round 1. Still haven't gone out in round 1. But I really wanted to win that. And once I won that, I got all my confidence back. And then the next one was against G-Man. That one was a unique situation. Like, I wasn't at home where I usually play my games. I was on the road. I was driving, not me, but I was on a road trip, and I was able to play that game, and I won, I think, 5-2. And that was when I started to realize that, hey, this dream is real, and I might actually win this tournament. And when it all started to become reality, that I could become a tournament winner, that I could go to Super League.
Sometimes it's belief, man. And you talked about college ball and the belief. Obviously, we all know you're a big BYU fan and out there in Utah, but when did you start learning the ropes of college ball? Obviously, you mentioned 2006 Texas Tech, so you definitely have to have at least some experience. You're 17, so you're 2008 was when you were born. So that was definitely before your time.
Oh wait, yeah, yeah. I mean, I just loved it, man. My dad raised me on it. He did that. Raised me on BYU and just taught me to love football and love college football. Because in my family, like, we're not NFL people. We just watch college. That's what we do on Saturdays. We watch college football, and he just put me on it. And then, once I was old enough to like get on Discord and stuff, I got into the college football chat and all these other groups that talked about sports, and that's when I really started to learn about it and develop my knowledge and understanding of the past, the history, the great teams, the great games. And it's just something that I'm passionate about, and it's something that's going to shape me as a person forever, and probably, hopefully, my career in some way when I go out into the workforce. So, just like experiences over the course of my life, like being a little kid and just watching with my dad to, being a little like teenager, and like I still am, but and just like talking and like understanding the internet, and then now just still being online and talking with my friends, and I develop genuine connections with people. Like, if I wasn't in that chat, I wouldn't be in this league. So everything happens for a reason, and I think college football has a big piece of my life for a reason. I just not sure what the next reason is yet.
And no one knows that too. Of course, we'll talk about God, of course, towards the end and whatnot. But I'll bring you in real quick, man. It's funny. We just did an interview with our boy Stat Johnson, and man, we were talking about Lunchables in the '90s and growing up in the '90s and early 2K. Not having a cellular device, having to go to the dictionary and playing tackle football on the streets, concrete, hitting our heads in. And now we got young Vapor, man. He doesn't even know what we're saying. He's probably thinking, "Who are these knuckleheads?" Right? But it's crazy because he was born with the digital age. So, your thoughts on just kind of an interlude? Your thoughts on the eras, man, of this league? Because we have guys that are even younger than Vapor. I was thinking, 15, and as old as Seth Cole, 33.
Yeah, and that kind of proves how evolved this league has become, because it's not just a certain age group of people. You can go to any lengths of this league, and it's all just different types of people that are going all the way back to people in the '90s that we got earlier with Stag, to people just like Nom. And that's is the best thing about this sort of league. You can just go everywhere around the spectrum, and you'll find somebody different.
I mean, absolutely. That was the 2010s. Shoot, man, it's crazy to think that, but think about it. Our parents were a different time too, right? 70s, 80s, 60s, whatever. It's crazy, man. It's crazy where we live in. But I'll go to Vapor now. College ball, we talked about it. Obviously, it's an intricate sport. There's no doubt. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You said you would one day want to consider broadcast. Talk to me about how the league has helped to develop a little bit of that character, because you obviously broadcast some games as well here.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been too involved in it. I'm busy. With my school schedule, usually like during the school week, I can only make time for my games, and if I'm lucky, I can call a game or two during a tournament. But yeah, it's given me some experience with, I wouldn't call it the highest of high level, games, sports, whatever you want to call it. But it's experience, and the more experience I can have, the better. And I wish I would have, gotten into streaming and tried to maybe make that something that I do. And hindsight's 2020, as they say. But like, the more learning you can do, the better. And the learning that I've been able to do by commentating and just being around, broadcasting in even a very small scale, that's good, because it's learning and it's experience.
EXP is the most important thing, man. You know it in college ball and any sport. You're not the same player when you walk in on campus as a, let's call it now in this modern day, redshirt freshman, because everyone redshirts now with the system worse. But yeah, it's different when you're a senior to, or sometimes a super senior to a registered freshman. But I'm going to go to Art for his first question. Yeah, you know he's got some. Go ahead, Art.
Yeah, paper. The first question I'm going to ask is, what is your favorite part about the sports world that helps teaches you the wins between the difference between wins and losses?
Hmm. That's a really interesting question. I think the things that taught me most about the difference between wins and losses is the players that I've been fans of and the players that I've followed. And I think the most successful players, they don't take losses, right? If there's a L in the in the win or loss column, right? They don't view that as a loss. They view that as an experience to learn and become better. And I try to model that into my life, into my game here, and into my life in general. It's just like, if something doesn't go right for you, if you don't get the desired outcome, what can I do next time to make it better?
That's it, man. That's really it. Life is a learning experience. It's a great social experiment because you think about life, you think about two things. You think about you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have moments where you mess up. You're not going to be always point blank right every time, as you should be in terms of life and growth. But when you do mess up, when you do make those mistakes, and you, as you say, those L's, it's really not an L unless you quit. Think about it. Unless you quit, you still it. Talk to me through about a moment. Maybe have you ever played a sport? I never. Have you ever played a sport or no?
Yeah, I never played like competitively. You know, I played rec ball, like basketball, flag football as a kid, but
any
yeah.
moments maybe as playing rec sports that taught you anything as a follow up to that?
Yeah, there was one time I was in seventh grade. We were playing flag football. I was on a really good team, but we weren't like great. We ended the season like 5-3. But there was this other team that went undefeated, and when we played them in the regular season, they beat our butts. But as we were walking out, right, as like we were all leaving, you know, one of the kids on our team yelled out to them, "Hey, we'll see you in the championship." And then all from that point on, our confidence was up, and we made a run through the playoffs, and we ended up beating them in the championship by a touchdown. So that was probably the biggest experience that I remember from, you know, the limited sports experience I have is be confident and, you know, just know that anything can happen if you really just set your mind to it and are confident in what you're doing. And you can make a run to the championship even if you get even if you get butt beat by someone before, you can beat them the next time because, you know, if you work hard, you won't have the same experience twice unless it's success.
I like that. Sometimes you really have to take a second take, take a third, fourth take to really appreciate it. And what's the old adage? Sometimes you really have to eat a zesty lemon or an old school lemon to really make that lemonade. And if you can make the old lemons into lemonade, good on you. But just don't forget those old lemons do have meaning, as you say. You never know what the next meaning will be. Now we talk about the league. We size it up. Obviously, you have three other tournament winners. What's your thoughts on the other three tournament? Obviously, you've played. I believe you played G this year. I don't know if you played. Did you play Nick? Or I don't think you played Nick or Mac. What are your thoughts on G?
Haven't played Nick or Pac.
Yeah, your thoughts on all three tournaments and specifically G because you played them.
Yeah, we'll start with Nick in March. I mean, that's a really good run from him. Really good season from him. Anytime you can get a tournament win, that's a great season. It's a little bit, you know, a shame he couldn't keep that momentum up for the rest of the season. But I mean, the runs that he did have, you know, respectable, and that's a respectable amount of wins to end the season on. What did he have, like 9 or 10?
No, yeah.
That's a respectable amount of wins to end the season on. And then as for, you know, Mac Johnson, yeah, that's a really weird win. Winning out of the 15 seed, I mean, that's really impressive. You have to beat a lot of good players along your way to be able to accomplish that. And that just speaks to the parity of the league, is that a 15 seed can win a tournament. It's just, he's had a good season too, a cool season, even if, you know, his average placement's still not great. Anytime you can get a tournament win again is a good season. And then for G, also, like you said before, kind of up and down, like kind of a bipolar year, kind of a bipolar career for him. But again, anytime you can get a tournament win, it's a great season. And again, I played him in the Elite Eight, man. A tournament win plus an Elite Eight run. I mean, that's a good season because that guarantees you have 10 wins, 9 wins, and 9 wins is really, really good.
Yeah, I think it'll be an interesting field when we get to the tournament coming in September, and really just looking at the field too. It should get better year by year, of course, as we get age on this league. It becomes a lot more cleaner and a lot more experience with the fact that we have 29 people now have a medal, and 100 Star Club is at 43, and 12 plus people have won, or excuse me, 12 plus people have 100 wins, and multiple people, 10 people have 200 plus. It's only getting better. I guess that was the other question I wanted to ask. Your thoughts on the competition, man, because now the days of you having, let's say, someone has all the ammo, right, and they don't close the games out, it's almost impossible. Most of the time, everyone's too good. You just give it a little ammo, it's going to be game over. So your thoughts on just the competition and the fierceness of 29 people having medals of a 64-man field?
Yeah, that's almost half the players in this league, and some of them haven't had great seasons. Some of them have gone away from the league, but still, that's a lot of people, and it means that even if you are in the bottom half right now, that doesn't mean you can't end up at the top half in the future. Um, because if we're looking at it, by numbers, half of 64 is 32, and if you're sitting there at that 41, like you're ranked 41, you're exiting tournaments at like 36, what do you have to do? You win 5 more games in a row, that's a silver or a bronze. Yeah, it's a silver or a gold, honestly. So yeah, just remembering, as if you're someone who's in that position, that anything can happen, and if you're not in that position, if you already have a medal, just keeping that fight. And overall, I would say that the competition is really good in this league, and that the parity is great. Jesse Turner, one of the best players in the league, just couldn't get it together this year and ended up not having a great season. But, Mac Johnson, you don't expect him to be in Super League, but here he is. So, parity's great, great league.
Really is, man. You really can have a season like JT where what happened, but you think about it. Look what happened to Varigol last year, 2023 Super League runner-up. Nowhere to be found last year. It's just, it doesn't really have a linear feel ever because of the field closing up in terms of experience, and a lot of people are just getting better. The margin is a little bit more shrunk compared to the past, and we'll talk a little bit about that because you recently got into motorsports a little later. But I want to transition to my man Art for question 2.
Yeah, I'll go into my next question here, and Faber, I'm going to ask: do you find the art of nature and God's country in Utah, can that sort of help you calm in some of the tough moments?
Yeah, I feel like I'm very connected to, you know, God and what the world that He's created for me. I like going on hikes with my family, and my mom especially, because she likes to do that. I like going out and just spending time out in nature. I don't do it enough, but I really need to more because I feel really calm when I'm out there and just being present with the world and just like getting off my phone and getting off the internet and enjoying what the beautiful world that was created for us. And I feel like everyone should do that a little bit more, is just spend some time outside.
It was just funny. We were talking to you today earlier about the internet was an escape from reality 25 years ago because the outside world was just too hectic. But now, as the internet has grown to become a staple for kids, and well, I can't say around the world, but at least for many people, especially kids around the States and developed countries, the outside world, the nature, the river, the lake, the XYZ location, the amount that is becoming the escape from the internet. And it's funny how 25 years later, 2000, when we started with the whole millennium, it's changed completely. Now, what were some cool moments you had in the summer? I know you took some trips, you went to some camps. What were some cool summer moments this year that you can last a lifetime?
Yeah, just going to camps, like especially church camp, feeling really connected to people and to God. And I don't want to make this whole interview, about religion. It's a big part of my life, but um, I don't know, just spending a lot of time with family and getting connected to them. It was a good summer, even if I didn't go out and do a lot of cool stuff. I still just was able to connect with people and learn a lot this summer. Even if I, didn't go out and go to theme parks or go on a cruise like a lot of my friends did. No, I don't need that to have a good summer and like develop meaningful connections with people and especially my family.
Yeah, and family, we'll talk more, I'm sure, about that a little later, but it's important to always have that groundedness with your family and really create those ties for sure. But we'll go back to the league real quick. Obviously, you've seen a lot of change. You've been one of the OGs of this league. What are some things you appreciate from not just the league, but the player base and a lot of the life lessons you've learned through the way here through 2 to 3 years now playing?
Yeah. Excuse me. Um, just the friends that you make here and the family atmosphere. We can, debate about stuff all we want. Like, a couple like this last month, just some stuff that, I regret saying, I regret doing. And now, that I've learned from it, I'm learning a lot more that um, it doesn't matter and that we're all family here, we're all friends here. And we can all have a fun time on the table. We can have a good time on the table. We can debate, we can be respectful, but we got to be grateful to be here and just have respect for each other. And I think that's the best thing is that everyone here has respect for each other and everyone here cares about each other, at least in some aspect. And it's just a great place to go. I know I have people here in this league that I can talk to and like trust when I'm feeling down. I can go to somebody. I can like ping practice and play, and it can just take my mind off stuff. And people will actually care about me at least a little bit.
Yeah, man. No one can do it alone in this world. That's one of the biggest lessons I think anyone can learn. Is we're always something. There's always someone out there. There's always something as a vice to really appreciate when things just don't go your way and you have moments of doubts, moment of anxiety, or moments of nerves, and you're still learning, man. You're only 17, right? You're still a young puppy, young kid, still learning the ways of life, and you're talking to guys like myself and Ard who are, 24 almost and 27 almost. So it definitely is a learning curve as you were going through the walks of life. So we do appreciate the family environment here. Let's go to Ard. I know Ard's got a couple more. Ard, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I'll go into my next question here. And Vapor, I kind of want to ask, what are some hard moments in your life that have made you a better person for it?
It's a tricky question to answer because there are hard moments in my life that, I'd rather keep to myself. But
Whatever you can share.
Some stuff that,
whatever you can share.
Yeah, I was going to just get to that. I think that's tricky. I think back in middle school, I had a hard time with just like anxiety and depression, just like how a lot of people do when they're that age. And I was just thinking a lot of myself and trying to ask too much of myself. And then, eventually I just started to realize that I can get through whatever I'm having problems with with the help of my family, with the help of my friends, with the help of God. And I just, I carry those experiences with me still. I'm always learning, and just remembering that life's a process, and it takes a long time to learn everything, and that I might never get there, but I can try my hardest.
And that's all you can ask for, man. If you put yourself to that 100%, you try your hardest, you put yourself on that level of, hey, I gave it my all, and I put it 100% on the table, 100% in what I was doing, and you're comfortable and content with what's going on, you appreciate it. Versus a day where you weren't 100, well, you weren't trying to find something and it cost you. So there's that growth element for sure. That's a good answer, especially even younger, right? Middle school, 12, 13, 14 years old. You're still learning, you're still developing life skills for sure. Now, you recently did get into motorsports F1. I poked you on, well, not booked you, but I taught you some things with MotoGP as well. Your thoughts on just that element of world? If you just recently got in, what's your thoughts of the motorsports world? Because it's not an easy thing to conceptualize. A lot of moving parts compared to, let's say, watching a football game. There's a lot that goes on in racing that people don't even realize.
Yeah, I like the aspect that anybody can get into it at any time, and you don't have to be an expert. It's a sort of thing that you don't have to watch over and over to understand the rules. And yes, there are like little details here and there that I still don't even know. But like for Formula One, I wanted to get into it. I just saw like videos of it online. I'm like, dang, this is cool. So I like picked a team and picked a favorite driver, and I've stuck with it. And it's the same thing for MotoGP. Like I saw you posted stuff onto your story. You post like videos, and then I checked it out. I'm like, dang, these guys look really cool. They're going really fast. And then I picked Frankie. I like Frankie. He's pretty cool. And I've just been following it since. And like not as close as Formula One, but I've just been watching it. And, like I know my dad loves NASCAR, so I've been trying to watch NASCAR too. I mean, you don't have to watch every race to know what's going on, but it's something that you can just sit down and you can go back and just look through the history of it and watch like past races. And I think it's just fascinating. I just think the world of racing is fascinating.
Yeah, it's a change of pace. No pun intended, it really is. It's a fast world out there, but it's a lot of team chemistry behind the scenes. You don't even think about this, but in football, you have private planes, right? Team planes. You don't really think of now F1 for sure. There is private jets, drivers take private jets, but think about the hauler drivers and the freight transports, and there's a lot of logistics that goes into racing. And I think about really the guys in MotoGP, even to an extent IndyCar, NASCAR. They still have private planes. When a lot of the drivers do take private planes and Cessnas with, but those two ones, especially GP racers and IndyCar, they don't get as paid as much, let's say, as a F1 or even when NASCAR is at its peak driver. So they have to find ways to take. Sometimes you will see certain riders in MotoGP or even IndyCar, they'll be on a commercial flight. Right? Not only does it save money, but they'll just be an average guy, and you can relate to them. It's great. You don't see them as, yes, they may be a quote unquote celebrity, maybe as a icon in their sport, but when they're off the table, they're just like you and me, man. They go through the same things, like you said, of having to figure out growth in life and anything, for sure.
Yeah, it's a more humble sort of sport. And you can be humble in any, discipline, whether it's work or, what you do for a living, your job, your sport, your art, whatever you do. It's important to remember to be humble. And you can make millions of dollars, but people aren't going to see you for the money. People are going to see you for what you do for your community and for the person that you are. And that's how you gain fans, is not with the money. I think at least the ethical way to gain fans is not what you do with the money. It's what you do without.
Really is. It is a fascinating. It's a fascinating thing to think about and talk about with any sport, but just sports in general. How they're just like you and me, especially I think in the off season, because on the season, okay, yeah, they're different. They're doing extraordinary things, and superhuman things. And it's never glorified as gladiators or insert whatever adjective here. But when they're off season, they're done. They're just like you and me, man. They're just enjoying, right? Enjoying life and making the most of it and trying to make it in this world. So you always got to remember that too. There's always those two sides of the coin. Oh, you got another one? Go ahead, bud. I know you got a couple more.
Yeah, I got a couple more. I'll ask you this next one, Vapor. Who are some of your role models you have looked up to in your life?
I think some of at least my biggest role model is my dad. He did a lot with a little. Um, I grew up in a rough situation, um, but he's always taught me to put my head down and just keep trucking, make a plan for myself, and don't let anything else get in the way. Just put my family and God first, because once you do that, blessings are gonna come your way. Um, and he's gone from being in a rough situation as a kid to making my life super blessed. Like I am so fortunate to have the life that I have, and I don't take that for granted. And I want to be able to carry on his legacy and carry on my family's name, and try to carry on his quote unquote wealth. We're not the richest people, but we're well to do, and I want to carry on that sort of wealth for my family.
The sacrifice, right? You
Uh,
think about. You go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say even more than just monetary. I said um, it's a wealth of love too. Like not every kid gets to grow up with parents that love each other and love them. Um, and I'm very, very grateful for the wealth of love that I have in my family. And I want to spread that to everyone that I meet, especially when I get married and I have kids. Is I want to spread that wealth of love as well.
It's funny we're playing this card game Uno. We talk about luck and whatnot, but we don't realize is sometimes not everyone was dealt a good hand in life. Sometimes people are going to be dealt an all number hand, but it's what you do with that all number hand that could make the difference. Even if you don't win the game, you can make steps to find something in that hand. And sometimes you can be dealt a 4+4 hand, but you can waste that opportunity because you didn't appreciate XYZ intangibles of just a couple numbers in that hand. And I think that's
Yeah,
really the.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I've been stuck in both situations. I was playing against Nick in the practice cup, and I got all 4+4s off the draw in an 11 card start. I had all 4+4s, but having all those +4s distracted me that I didn't have anything else. I had disconnected numbers, janky here and there. It was able to find my weaknesses, and he almost won that game. So it took going through hardships and having to draw back in order to get the connections that I needed and to fully exercise the 4+4s that I had in my hand. I think that's just a brilliant analogy for life in general. Is you can have all the resources that you need, but you might overlook that you're missing stuff, and it takes some drawing back. It takes some time to throw together a winning hand, throw together a recipe for success.
It's not easy, but the great ones always find a way, and that's the beauty of life, man. You'll always find a way to sort through your hands, sort through X, Y, Z, and when you can sort through it, and you're comfortable. You get to that level of, hey, you know what? Every hand is playable, even if it's not winnable. It's playable, and I can make it work. Now, I did want to go into something interesting. Obviously, we talked about F1. We talked a little bit about religion. We did talk about uh, what was it? The game, of course. Now, we know you are retiring at the end of this year. You want to talk a little bit about the trips you're going to be taking? You're going on some missions, and just a little brief insight into that for the viewers at home.
Yeah, so for my religion, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. May know that as Mormons. And you may have had the missionaries even come to your house, right? Black or white shirt, tie, dress pants, dress shoes, and I'm going to be that person in a year and a half, or even less than that. And that means I won't be able to complete next year's season in full if I do make Super League. So I'd be able to compete for at least 4 tournaments, but I just wouldn't be able to finish it, and it's not worth the risk for me to end up forfeiting anything. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Is I'm going to be giving up 2 years of my life to serve, and I think that's the same thing that MGR is doing, right? I'm going to be doing the same thing. So I'm super excited for it. I'm going to go somewhere in the world. I don't know where I'm going. I know that where I'm going to be is where the Lord needs me, and I don't get to control that. I could go to freaking Bangkok, Thailand. How ironic would that be if I get called to Thailand? But yeah,
Well, you never know. Ironically, now it's crazy to say that because people think, "Oh, okay, that's a it's a Buddhist cult." No, not really. It is, but there are other religious beliefs over there. There is. There's Hinduism. There's Muslim. There's what is there? There actually is Catholic churches over there, and I do know a priest over there. I've known him for years. Started in Italy, then went to Thailand. Now he helps kids out that are undervalued and not orphans, but just they need love, they need compassion, and ironically, that's a different religion than just Buddhism. So you never know. Maybe that's where duty calls, right? God only knows, man. At the end of the day, we don't know what tomorrow's gonna hold. We don't even know what the next 2 seconds is gonna hold. But that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of the world, and we'll see what the future brings for you, my man. But appreciate you telling me a little bit about that. Now, I will say one thing I always did admire about your game and admire about you coming here is you are developing natural skills. What's it like playing against in anything? Just people that are twice your age, or you're hanging out with guys twice your age. Like when you started as a 14-year-old, you were having guys that were 26, 27, 28, or even a guy like me, right, a decade older. What's your thoughts of just hanging out with these guys and learning from some of the best, not just in the game, but also knowing that these people have more life EXP and a lot of adventures?
yeah. There's a lot to learn, um, and I initially when I joined this league, I thought it was a little weird. I'm like, do I really want to be, the youngest guy here playing with a bunch of guys that are twice my age? I was a little bit weirded out at first, but as I continue to play, I'm like, hey, this could be a learning experience for me, and I could be able to, play with the big boys for a little bit, and it's a level playing field, but just be comfortable in an uncomfortable environment, and like knowing that I'm safe in this environment, but it's still an uncomfortable environment, and it's a way for me to push myself to become better.
The best growth is really through the uncomfortable. No one's ever grown through comfort, man. It is true. Now, some people are rare where they almost will grow through comfort, but they're only growing to a certain level. When you grow and you are in an uncomfortable position every so often, you can exceed that growth level instead of just having a capstone. Because anyone can be capped off at a certain level, but to really get into a new height and a new adventure, you got to explore the depths of the unknown. And that's the beauty of this app and this life and Discord. Now, obviously, you talked about the college, the CFP communities and other communities, of course, the LDS community. What are some other things you've been impressed or just have experienced on this Discord app or any app that's taught you lessons too?
Yeah. There's That's a tricky question to answer. Again, you're asking some real stumpers here. Um, I wouldn't say so much online, but through my online school that I do, I'm on a student body leadership team, and I help people out. I like last year I was in charge of student outreach, and like all the new students, like I would greet them and try to find friends for them and try to just be a friend to people. And it's taught me valuable skills that I still use today, like going into my senior year, right? I didn't have that many friends, but I've just been myself. I've been outgoing and just tried to care for people and just put a smile on people's face and put a smile on my own face. And it's working. Like people undervalue the power of a smile, the power of a well-timed joke, the power of asking, "Are you okay?" And it's something that more of us need to do is just do little things for others.
Yep. And you never know what the other person on the other end is dealing with, or you never know what the other person on the other end has quote unquote experienced. It's true. Because at a certain point, you think about, life, and you think about the people you meet, the people you, it's going to sound crazy, but the people you inspire, the people you touch, in a good way. And you think about all the little moments of just saying thank you, or a smile, or holding the door. You don't think much of it. But then when you stop and smell the roses, they'll remember that in their years of experience. They'll remember, damn, I remember when he held the door open. Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, no, it is a simple yet powerful message to always think about your fellow man, right? Always think about the other person on the other side. They may not look at it as, oh, this is a big deal right now, but in a couple of years, they're going to be in the same situation because history finds a way to cycle itself out, and you always got to be wary of what's ahead and what's in the next kilter. But we'll go over to the next question, and after that, it's my man Ard. Go ahead, Ard.
All right, Faber, I'm going to ask you this. So, what is the biggest lesson you have learned that you will be thankful for when you're in your 20s?
Man, these are some good questions, babe. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Um, just to make it a little more relevant, I'll say probably experiences in this league. Um, this year, my big tournament, streak, win streak. The biggest lesson that I've learned is that positivity can do big things. Positivity can do great things. A simple change of mindset can put you from losing when you're down 6-1 to winning 7-6. Right? Just a very simple flick of the switch, and all of a sudden you're in a position where you're comfortable and you're calm. And that's something that I'll transfer to my life as I get older. It's a simple change of mindset, and you can just become a lot calmer and a lot more focused on your goal.
Is there any other moments, maybe recently, where you just felt like, man, I end of the world, right? You don't know what's going to happen. Maybe a moment of anxiety creeps in. You look towards that positive river, right? The positive river of emotions, and it's more than just the league, but just in general. That's maybe at school, maybe it's with your family. Has there any been of those moments recently that's given you a little bit more of a clear view of life ahead?
Yeah. I just, it's the last year of high school, and I've got some tough classes, and it's stressing me out a little bit. But just talking through it with, like my parents, and like going to counseling and stuff, and just talking through it makes it a lot easier to digest. And having the mindset of, yes, I can do this. Yes, this is possible, makes it a whole lot easier to get your task done.
Yeah, positive affirmations, words of encouragement, daily affirmation, whatever you want to call it. those affirmations, man, there's a reason why God created that word of affirm. You want to have affirmative action. Well, to do that, you need to have positive affirmations. And when you have those positive affirmations and the affirmed control of the situation, you become more inclined to be resilient, be thankful, be more calm in the moment. And is there been points in this league, of course, where we talk about ammo control, we talk about control of the game, control of the possession on everything. Do you feel you've hit that peak, not just in the game, but in pressure situations where the game slows down or life slows down, and you start to find serenity knowing that you're not going to win any situation unless you really are on a calm flow state? Talk to me about how being calm also contributes to that positive affirmation.
I chuckle a little bit at the thought of the game slowing down, because the biggest moment for that for me, and that was versus Acosta, in the final four. It, it slowed down not just in the sense of he plays slow as a snail, but in that I just was able to get with the pace, get with the slowness, and read the game. How I feel like I've never read it that well before in that game. And yeah, I think I'm at the point of performance in Uno where it slows down and I can read things and understand the flow of the game. And I think that could be a very powerful weapon.
And that's really it. When you understand the flow of the game, as you said, it's one thing to understand the game, but when you can understand the flow state and understand the coordination, the read, it's like playing any game, man. You understand those concepts, things slow down in your mind. And there is studies to where when your mind is calm, you can almost accomplish it. When it's cluttered, you got brain fog, you got a billion things on your mind or a billion tasks on your mind. You won't perform as well. But when that brain is calm, steady, and steering, smooth seas ahead. That's it. And you can't really say, oh, well, that's not proven, but just close your eyes and think, man, the moment you close your eyes, you go into what? A darkness state. You don't see nothing. You don't see the light. You just see a black screen. And that's really what being calm is. It's black. It's pitch black. But in a way through the pitch black, it's a calm eye of the hurricane. Because you think about it, the hurricane's around you. It's deadly, it's wind, but in the eye is the center. It's calm. And sometimes when it's that calm, you question, is it too calm? Is there need for life where it needs to be high tide and rough? But it's that peacefulness, that peace and serenity that allows you to really put your hand up and say, wow, I can accomplish this. And that's part of the collection of life. When you start growing, and I think Art said earlier, in your 20s, when you start getting to that stage, it's true. When you start getting into that age, you start to become a lot more, I don't want to say you care less, but you don't care and take everything as a reactive state. Because when you're young, you're young a puppy, man. You're full of energy. You're ready to go. You react to every little thing and be ready to jump on the gun. But when you start to get wiser and experience of life, you age properly like good asphalt, you don't care as much. You know what you take it is, okay. Like we said with the earlier, the helping of people, you don't know what that person on the other side is doing. You don't know what they're going through. Because of that, you can be more, instead of reactive, you can be more counteractive in a sense to say, you know what, let them do something, and we'll counteract that. Does that make sense? Because a lot of people,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah. And even better than counteractivity is proactivity.
That's the word. Yeah,
it's doing the thing before it's required of you, and it's something that I desperately need to work on. I think that's one of my biggest weaknesses is I'm not a proactive person yet. And it's so rewarding to be proactive and go out and get things done, get your homework done early, do the stuff around the house without being asked first. But it's something that I need to work on. And like you said, like life's a journey, and we're learning every day and trying to get better every day.
Now, obviously, a little bit of a touchy subject, but we'll talk about how it was a great concept. You hosted it with Alan. Wish him the best. No idea where he's at, but it didn't work out, right? I don't want to. I don't want to say it was a failure, no, because we did run a couple seasons and things were great. But what did you learn in the seasons you ran as a host? Did you appreciate hosting more? Did you realize, what, it takes a lot to run it? What were some lessons, even though it didn't finish the way we may have wanted to in the end result? What were some lessons you picked up on it? Because there were some, despite maybe not getting the results you needed.
Yeah, it's fun to host. It's fun to be involved and help people out if they have questions, and if they seem to be struggling, right? They're not putting up great times. I pop in, and I say, "Hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try this idea?" And it's not giving them an advantage in any way. It's not being unfair. It's helping guide someone to a better result, and that can be applied to so many different things. You can't lead you can lead the horse to the well, but you can't make it drink. And there's two sides to that. One, you can lead the horse. You can put people in a position to succeed if they choose to. And then there's the other side. It's choosing to make the most of the opportunities that you're given. And I think Hot Lap was the best of both worlds of that. It's one, helping other people, and two, it was a concept we didn't really know how it was going to go, but we made the best of what we could before it, eventually died out. And I'd say overall, it was not a failure. It was a success. It was a good experiment for like little mini season-based mini games for Grimland in the future. There, like we said, like at the very beginning, there's no losses. It's learning experiences. L stands for learning, and you take those experiences and you learn from them, and you make something better out of them.
I think I told you that when you were 14 when I first met you. I think I said that too. It's funny, man. So I always say there's no such thing as L. It's just learning, man. The only way you really lose in life is if you quit. Unless you quit, and it's a learning experience, right? But yeah, it comes full circle though. Resource management. That's really what Grimland is, man. You don't have the resources. You don't have me hosting that event. You don't have a full team. It's just you out there. Obviously, I know you had Alan, but a lot of the people that run the events over there, they don't got nobody. It's just me, myself, and I, and they try to run it when they go from the nest and they run free. And for some people, it works. For others, it's a struggle. For others, they're a natural. It's not linear in hosting. It's a crazy, not convoluted, but it's a crazy world sometimes. And when you actually take a second to stop and smell the roses, I always say, you can appreciate the hosting. Now, is there any favorite part of hosting you enjoy that maybe when you get to these mission trips or you finish out this last year of high school that you can take away and say, you know what, I can be a better host and a better person in general because I had this experience of hospitality? What were some key moments you may want to share with that, the hospitality element?
Yeah, it's a good experience to just help people. I was said that the answer to the last question, just helping people and having the mindset of I'm not doing this for me. Like, it's a fun concept and I have fun when I'm doing it, but I'm not doing this because I want to have fun. I'm doing this to provide a way for other people to have fun. And I think you and I, because of it, ultimately was mostly you and me. Because Alan, hope he's doing okay, but kind of disappeared, and it was kind of up to me to do it all myself. And even though it wasn't a very big task, It was small stuff. It's hit the times and make the graphic and then make the post. But it helped build my confidence that I can lead big things. I can be a leader, and just have confidence in that.
It's funny, we were talking about this today on National Leadership Day, and being a leader, as you said, and understanding what it takes. It's not easy, man. It really isn't. Anything to go out there and be a leader at 16, 17 years old, or even people in their 40s and 50s. Think about all the business leaders and CEOs, and there's a reason why a lot of CEOs aren't 20 years old, 30 years old. There's a reason why they're 40, 50 years old. They're even teachers in the world, 40, 50 years. There's a reason why. Because they've been hardened by life, sure, but they've been hardened by those experiences, and it makes you have thick skin. It makes you appreciate them even more because they've had to suffer through whatever, 20 years or 30 years sometimes of service, and just to get to the top of the summit, top of the mountain. You appreciate that too from your educators and people in life, parents even, right? So it is important. We'll do two more, and then we'll do a little this or that. It's a little fun thing. Now, expectations for Super Bowl. You've never been here. This is your first year making the postseason. What is some things you want to get out of this experience coming up? Obviously, the interview is great today, but what are some other things you want to get out of it?
Just playing with the best and having that postseason experience. Having it's not a big deal. Like this league, it does matter to me a lot. And just knowing that I can compete with some of the best, and that I'm kind of am in the upper echelon, it feels really good. And I can take this experience and tell myself that it's not impossible to work your way to the top, and that it takes a while. But if you start out as something and you see the people up at the top and how good they are, just remember, think back to your experience in Uno. You worked your way up to get to that point. If you can do it there, it's definitely possible for you to do it in a place where you want to be for career or something like that.
Yeah, man, it really is an interesting thought, but the progression of it's insane. But sometimes the progression of life, the progression of X, Y, and Z, when you start at a base setting and work your way, it really is a fascinating thing to think about. Step ladder. Maybe you played that games of Chutes and Ladders, and most of the time you're probably going down a chute. You're not going up a ladder for a while. But when you do go up that ladder one time to get to that 26 to 84, that's my favorite ladder in the game. It is a rewarding moment because you had to probably go through 20 chutes just to get to that one ladder. That's life, man. That's when you play the best of the best, you got to go through 20 falls just to get to the top. And sometimes when you get to those 20 falls and you get to that one top, it's more rewarding than the 20 falls. Because the 20 falls is all part of the journey, but the one time you hit the jackpot, there you go, jackpot, Jim. You hit that one bucket, it transforms you for sure. Well, last one, man. Before we get to this or that, and this one's more of an interesting one. But where do you see the vaporizer, the brand, not just in here, but in 4 or 5 years? Knowing that you are going to be a changed man with of course, the trip you're going on. At that time, you'll probably be sometime, I don't know, would you be in college? Or now how would that work? Would you still be in college 4 or 5 years, or are you on the college cycle?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure. So where do you see yourself after these trips and becoming a little bit older vapor? Wiser too.
Yeah, I just want to get my footing on a career with somewhere that I want to go. And I understand that might take years in college and doing education and learning more about myself every day. I do see myself returning to Discord and talking to people. Um, if the league is still around, there's no telling whether I'll come back or not. But if the league is still around, I'll definitely consider it. But I won't be as involved. Um, Obviously, I'll have less free time, less time to do stuff. Because I'll be putting first things first. Um, but I'll still be around for sure. But I'll just be a more mature version of myself, a bigger and better version of myself. Won't be that different, but uh, definitely bigger and better, and I'll have more life experience. And you guys will be able to tell if we meet each other again down the road.
Yeah, and it was similar when we talked about this with Ashley and even Zach in a sense. Maybe not Zach, but definitely Ashley. We always said it wasn't a full goodbye, it's just to see you later, and that's what we hope. Yeah, that's what we really hope. Is it's always a see you later, because goodbye is forever, but see you later is always a window to come back. And we truly do hope that one day when you get through the good stuff, right? You get through the Lord, you get through the missions, you get through all that, you can really settle down and come back with that fresh mindset and just attack it, man. That's it. Attack it in a new light and be a changed man for sure. We're gonna play a little this or that. Simply just give us a this or that. That's it. Whatever you got. Answer which one you like more, and we'll have Ard come in and play along. Let's do it. Here we go. Let's see. It's a good one. All right, this one's a good one. Rain or snow? You're in Utah. We gotta ask.
I mean, we get so much snow, but we don't get that much rain. So I'll go with rain just because you don't have to shovel it.
Yeah, that's no brainer. Utah, you gotta start with that. Let's see. You a meme guy or a GIF guy?
I mean, in my experience, GIF has always meant peanut butter. A GIF is like the little moving thing that you put from
I'm
like
sorry, buddy.
plug in. I like to give you crap about that, but I'm a GIF guy. There's something about them is just they can be so funny. They can express the perfect thing at the perfect time. And I like GIFs more than I like still image memes.
Oh, what about you? Sorry about that. I forgot you. And yeah, I showed my age there, I guess. Or dang it.
Yeah, I'm more of a meme person.
Meme. I'll go with meme as well. But however, I will say, only because I probably should go with memes because I can't even say the damn thing right. But I will say I will say though, for the rain or snow one, give me the rain all day.
I think for that one, I'd go rain.
No one wants to shovel. Trust me. That's probably the one thing. Now, listen, I'll do it. I've done it before, but I haven't had much snow out here in a while. And obviously, already in Texas, it's rare, but
Yeah, I live in Texas.
it's rare. But they do get some, depending because Texas is such a humongous state. There's you can go to North Texas, it's snowing, and then 80 degrees in Brownsville. So they definitely. Let's see here. This is a good one, Vapor. Would you rather have Mondays off or Fridays off?
And that's a tricky one because if you're looking at a 3-day weekend, right? It's like, which day would you rather have off from school? And I'm gonna say Friday. Friday is a fun day. Friday is a day where you get to like hang out with your friends. Like, no one's hanging out with their friends on a Monday. Like, if you have no school, like you would, but you're not going out and doing fun stuff. And it's like Friday is the epitome of being a teenager. Is just Friday. I would much rather have Friday off going into a long weekend than a Monday off coming out of a long weekend.
Art, what do you think?
Well, me personally, I would probably go for a Monday off.
Monday off? Okay.
Because when you're when you go to work and there's always one of those days that you gotta have like an extra day of work. You don't want to go straight back after taking like a day off because that happened with me before. Like I had to work a Saturday. I don't want to go back to work on a Monday.
You know, this one's tough because in the life of KT, there really ain't no days off. Always something going on. But if I had to pick, I actually would prefer. Now that I've gotten a little wiser, I still would pick the Friday off, only because Monday is an important day to set the groundwork. Because I know the first day of the week is I get it, but it's a day of rest. But something about having that Friday off, knowing that Thursday is the last day, it is a little more refreshing. Because when you have that Monday, you lose that groundwork day, and sometimes it can get a little bit convoluted. But I definitely think when you have that Friday, you're done Thursday, and you can just go into whatever. You feel more comfortable with it. So I don't think there's any wrong answer to that one for sure. All right, Vader, so going right here. I think this is got to be the number one thing on your mind here. Would you rather? Because I know you do. You like clothes a little bit. You got interesting clothes. Would you rather have clothes from the '80s or the modern day clothes? That's one of the this or that's.
Yeah, that's tricky, man. Because style back then was so unique, I feel like. You know, I think of a lot of like neon and
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. Um, yeah, I don't really quote unquote dress for this year. I feel like I dress more like a '90s guy. Yeah, like the jorts and like I'm wearing freaking button up shirt, like a plaid button up shirt and jeans right now. And it's like I feel like people dressed like this 20, 30 years ago. So I'd go with modern day clothes, just because modern day clothes I feel like are clothes from decades past, just with a little modern twist to them.
Or what do you think? '80s or the modern day?
Uh, Modern.
Hard to say. I mean, I'm in really khakis or suits most of the time, or buttoned up polos. So I'll go with modern. However, I will say I have seen a lot of shirts that go back to the '80s and they have a unique twist to them. So it's almost like the DNA is still in there for sure. All right, Vapor, city or country life? Which one?
City. I get too bored out in the country. I need stuff going on. Um, Busy, busy, busy. But I just think cities are so cool. I'd love to live in a big city someday. You know, New York or Los Angeles or like even somewhere like you might think of less, like Seattle or Dallas, somewhere nice, somewhere big and populated. Um, it's just like bus. I would love to live somewhere with a lot of people.
Ard?
This one's a difficult question for me, but knowing by how less much of travels that you would have to do if you're like in a big city, if you if you're within walking distance, I'd probably go with a big city.
Yeah, this is interesting because I'll go with city, but I will say if you ever do go to the country, there is one thing that the country has that the city doesn't have, and that's wild horses and yeah, you really can let your mind go free because the city is hustle bustle, but I'll prefer it only because it's probably the better option on certain things with public utilities and just a little bit more accessibleness because country it's out there. So sometimes you don't have the nearest grocery store near you, but if you want to go free and just enjoy life, for sure, country. What do you think, Vapor? Beaches or pools?
It really depends on the situation, where you're at, what you're doing at the pool. If it's like a big community pool and there's like a bunch of people there, little kids running around, you definitely know that pool is dirty. I wouldn't choose the pool. But if you're going to the beach and it's like the only experience I have at the beach was I went to Los Angeles in October 2024. I went to the beach and the water was cold. I didn't like that very much. So I think in the best of the best situations for a pool, it would be like at my cousin's house. It's just my family, and we're just hanging out at their pool in their backyard, having a good time. And the best case situation for the beach, it's like you're walking across it. It's like a nice sunny day, and you're walking across it with, like your friends or someone that you love, and it's just like a nice time. But between the two of those, I would take the pool.
Ard,
I'm gonna go with the pool.
make that a triple threat. Yeah, I can't. The problem with the beach, man, is it's well, first off, it's not free, unfortunately, unless you go to overseas and it's free. And number two, you don't know what's in that ocean, man. Rip currents, rip tides, huge waves, underneath sea creature. You don't know. It is risky sometimes. Get up early or stay up late, Vapor?
Man, wait, can you still hear me?
Yeah, you good?
Okay, yeah. Um,
Early riser, night owl, basically.
Early or late? Man, that's tricky because if I either way, if I don't get enough sleep, I end up being grumpy. Um, 1 second, just getting a request from my parents real quick.
Oh, you good?
Yeah, if I don't get enough sleep, I get grumpy. But if I were to lose sleep, I would lose sleep by staying up late.
So yeah, you said staying late.
Yeah.
Art, early or late?
This one's difficult because I've had to deal with both of them. But if I would pick one over the other, I would say of late.
See, this is no brainer early. I can't. Like I said, most of the time, past 10 o'clock, I always a joke with guys. You can't get me on a call, or maybe a call you can get me on for like half asleep, but a stream or anything extraneous after 10, closing up shop. So I'll be up 7 o'clock, routine, gym, whatever, 100%. I gotta, or if not gym, I'll take a walk. Most of the time, actually, in the summer, it's because this area doesn't always get the best weather in November through April, March even. I'll probably forego the gym in the summer month, take a walk instead, or just do some light exercises outside, get that vitamin D. But if it's in the winter, I'm hitting my home gym and crushing it, everything. So either way, good answers there. Tell more Vapor, and then we'll call a shop here. This is an interesting one. East Coast or West Coast? If you've been to the East Coast.
I've never been to the East Coast, surprisingly. I've only been to the West Coast. I've been to Los Angeles. I went to the beach there. I've lived, I'm a mountain time zone guy, Southwest kind of guy. I got family in Arizona, so I'm a West Coast kind of guy. But I would love to go out and visit the East Coast. Like, I grew up in the Southeast, not really East Coast. I was in Arkansas and Texas. But I didn't really get the chance to experience the East Coast fully. I was too young. We never really went and did anything as a family. So West Coast for now, but it could change once I go out and visit.
Art?
I'd probably go more East Coast than West.
Been to both. I'll say East because I live here, or also get the flames. So I don't want to get flamed, so I'll say East for my friends out there if they're listening. But no, depending on the West Coast, it isn't that. I've been to Alaska. I've been to, ironically. That's an experience in itself. But it's been a while since I've been to the West. Believe it or not, that will change that one day. Oh, Vapor, I know this one. You like the theme park. So what is it? Roller coaster or Ferris wheel? That's an easy one. What do you think?
Ferris wheel is not thrilling at all. It's good for the views, but once you've been on it once, you've seen all there is to see. A roller coaster you can go on over and over and over again, and it'll be fun every time. Give me the roller coaster.
Art?
I guess I'll pick the roller coaster.
Same way. Not really a fan of either. However, I'll go with the coaster. I will say though, did go on the London Eye. That's probably the only Ferris wheel in the world I'll go back in. That's one badass Ferris wheel. I'll tell you that much. That is. If you ever had a chance to go to London, that's the one tourist attraction they say you got to go on. It's fantastic, but that's probably the only one. Everything else, I'll say reluctantly coaster, even though I'm not a fan of either. This is a going for Vapor. I think this is a funny one. Would you rather have a secret passcode to get into a safe, or a secret handshake?
Man. Thing is, I'm probably gonna forget both of them.
Oh boy.
I mean, I'm more likely to remember the password. If the handshake's like too complicated, got too much going on, I'm surely gonna forget it when I wake up in the morning. So, the password I can at least like write down on a sticky note and put it on my forehead. So, yeah, I tell everyone how to get into my safe. That's why I just wouldn't keep stuff in the safe, but I'll take the password.
Ard, code, or the old handshake? What do we think?
Code.
Yeah, I'm going to make it a triple threat barely code because the handshakes aren't going to be as simple as, how you doing? No, yeah, right. It's going to be some type of 3D modeling handshake nowadays, but who knows. Clue or Monopoly, Vapor? What do you think?
What? Repeat?
Clue or Monopoly? Think board game. Which one? Which board game?
Clue or Monopoly?
Yeah.
I love Monopoly. Monopoly is such a fun game. I love just like swindling people out of money. Yeah, I'm not the most honest Monopoly player. Like if I land on their property and they ain't paying attention, I'm sure as heck not paying them rent. So I'll take Monopoly.
Oh, Jesus Christ. God almighty. Okay, Art.
If you want rent from me, you gotta ask.
God, well, unless you play out Monopoly online, I do have that game on my phone. I'll tell you a funny story in a second. Go ahead, Ardo. Which one?
I'll go Monopoly.
Yeah, I'll go Monopoly. I remember I was the race car, and I was playing against the Thimble, and it was on the hardest AI. Right, I always challenge me. I used to play pretty religiously, almost daily. Now I'll play once in a while if I got a free moment, but I'll never forget. It was custom rules, $400 on the go, and then it was free parking. Right, I was basically dead. I was dead. I had nothing left other than just the boardwalk and the park place. Right, there were the two blue hotels. The other guy basically owned the computer owned half the board. So I'm thinking I need some crazy roll. So he landed on boardwalk. I got money. I get past go. I get four. Somehow I'm like $500 in, and I'm thinking, okay, no way I'm gonna. All of a sudden, he picks up a community chest, the computer, and it says advanced. And I got back in the game. I made a crazy trade. I traded my two properties, my two hotels, for his orange and yellow ones, which were the Atlantic Avenues and the Kentucky Ave, Illinois. And I flipped the game. I flipped the game because basically he had houses there. He took my hotels, but he never landed on the boardwalk again. Whereas I landed, and he landed on the properties he had, and it was one of the craziest wins. Eventually, I got like $15K in assets, but it was a crazy game because when you put on those custom rules, I always put on those custom rules of you don't need 5 houses for a hotel; it's just 4. It's crazy. Parking free, you get money, $400 for go. It's an absolutely crazy thing, but Yeah, that's my Monopoly story.
It's a luck game as much as it is a strategy game, just like
It is
Uno.
luck. It is luck. But I will say, auctioning or no, trading property, you do gotta know a little bit about that. You gotta know how to almost use the value you have and aim for less value if it works out. What do we think here, Vapor? Though, spicy food or sweet food? What do you think? Spicy or sweet?
Oh, like if I'm taking sweet, I get stuck with like I have candy and I have like soda. If I get rid of spicy, I miss out on my hot wings, and hot wings are probably my favorite food. So I gotta go with spicy food.
Ard,
I'm more going towards spicy than sweet myself.
triple threat. If I don't say spicy, something's wrong with me. If I'm part Thai, so I better say that. That's I better say it. I have Thai peppers in my garden a little bit, and let me tell you, man, get some picked Thai in there, roll it up, just eat it raw. You're gonna think I'm nutso, but let me tell you something. Spice. If you want heat, there's the heat. Put some peppers on that on your wings. It'll do a number on you, but it's worth it. Our last couple, and then we'll call it a night
Regret
here.
that in the morning.
What's that?
You regret that one in the morning when you take your trip to the bathroom.
I regret a lot of stuff because I mean, let's face it, man. I eat spicy food probably 3 or 4 times a week. So my insides are pretty clear. Anyway,
Oh my
yeah, I'm a
goodness.
big spiceaholic, man. I have that. What's that one thing that? Oh, what is it? That chili oil? Oh my god, I eat that a lot. I pucka pow, all the Thai food, man. I love Thai food, man. Thai food, and even Italian food. I always, even if it's pizza, I'll put some peppers on there, basil. I'll mix it up for sure. What do you think, Vapor? Breakfast or brunch? Which one?
Brunch. Brunch is better because brunch there's just more options and it's later in the day. I don't have to wake up early to go to brunch.
Art?
Uh, yeah, I would go for brunch.
Yeah, it's triple threat on that one. All day brunch. Sometimes you don't even need breakfast. You can just drink a glass of water and you're good. But brunch, it fill you up for sure.
Yeah.
All right, babe. 2 more. Knowledge or imagination? Which one would you prefer?
This is the worst question of them all because knowledge is power, but without imagination,
Yeah.
what would our world be?
That's why it's tricky.
I would say I would say knowledge because without knowledge we wouldn't have the means to make the stuff that we imagine.
Art? That's a great answer, probably.
I'll go knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge is power, but it is very close because you're right. Without being creative and imaginatory, or just your imagination running free, you wouldn't even know what knowledge is. It's weird. It is definitely an interesting one. Let's try to end on a good one. That was it's more a trick question. Would you rather live in a world where there's no diseases or no poverty? Let's end it with that. Let's end with something spiritual. Go ahead, baby.
Oh, holy cow. No diseases. And it's not that I want people to be in poverty, but it's that poverty is I I don't know how to justify choosing the diseases, but I feel like in some way having experiences from poverty makes you appreciate the good things more and makes you understand that it's not all about money and living a humble lifestyle. I think about like business owners and people who come from rough backgrounds and how their character development, and out there they always are talking like, I value my family. And even if you look at like people in less fortunate countries like Ghana, I know, Togo's from there, like Ghana, or places where they don't have as much money, they always seem happier. And I think it's in part to they don't value material things as much. They value what they have. And if there was a way in which everyone, has money, and we would not value material things, then yeah, that would be optimal. But yeah, I don't want to get into the politics of things with inflation and how that would affect the economy. But I say having experiences with poverty makes you recognize so much more what you have and not take for granted the opportunities that you've been given.
Yeah, it is a tricky one. Or go ahead. Either answer I think is acceptable. Which one?
Yeah, either one is acceptable, and for me, I would go to the diseases as well. Because I think without it, I know thinking like, oh, you're choosing people that don't have enough, but sometimes I've had to deal with that myself, going from not one of those rich sort of people, but kind of have a tough time in life as well.
Yeah, I'll go with the diseases, but I will say, it it's crazy, man. Because I was just reading an article about nanobots, and if you live like 25, 30 years, you can expand the life expectancy to 180, 200. They're working on it. I mean, sign me up. Because if you think about it, if you could be 80 years old and still look 20, oh my god, that would be revolutionary. That's something I would sign me up for, right now. But at the same time, with either answer, you gotta think. If it's diseases, no disease is great, but you still gotta maintain financial freedom in a way to sustain your family and life. If it's no poverty, you also still gotta maintain your health, right? Because if everyone's got money, but you let yourself go, that's just as bad. You can't enjoy life. You can't fulfill yourself if you're obese, or you have all these health concerns, and you lose the fulfillment and joy. So either answer, no matter what you pick, you have to sustain that there's always something to maintain. So very good answers, gents. Well, Vapor, I always ask this last question for my guest, and Ard sends us home. What is one thing we may have not learned from you tonight that you want to share before we head off?
Here's just something goofy. When I'm like trying to impress a girl or try to seem cool to group people, I tell them that I'm the number one ranked Uno player in the world.
Oh my, is that true?
Yes, that's true, and it works. Well, because if you think about it, right? This is the Premier Uno League online, and I haven't discovered one that has better competition than this one. And I mean, going into the Super League reveal, feel pretty good about my odds of being number one. If I'm not, then whatever, still in Super League. But at the end of the day, I feel confident in my standing as the number one player in the world.
That's interesting. I'm not sure what to think about that.
You can't tell me I'm wrong.
No, you ain't wrong. But that's interesting. Imagine saying that to your group of friends, or some woman you met online, or that's something. I don't know, Ard. That's. What's your thoughts on that one, Ard? You get the last word, boy. Excluding that comment, actually, what's your thoughts on that comment? That says something. I didn't think about that.
I never thought I would hear somebody go up to if you're trying to say that towards a woman there, I'd be like, either you are about to get annoyed so
Oh my
badly, or just get the female to have maybe one of the weirdest looks on their faces, like, what?
I'm not gonna lie, man. I've been playing this dang game for so long. I don't think I've ever said to anybody, whether it be man or woman, "Hey, I'm number one. I've got 22 years." No, no. I think that most of the time I would say they would ask me, "What's the coolest thing you've done?" I would say, I don't know, traveled around or own something. I don't know, own a business. I don't even know. That's just. Yeah, I don't got nothing. Art, send us home, man. What's the one thing? What's some things you learned from Vapor before we sign off?
Well, I can say this. At least we got somebody that is taking appreciation for learning the Lord's work and taking knowledge from God. Really, even if this is going to be it for Vapor playing this game with us, at least he has his true calling, hopefully on the horizon once his time is done playing Uno.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to send us off, man. It really is. It really is true. It really is true that he had his 3 years here, and he's done a great job of just being with us as a valued league member, and all the memories and all the essentials of this league and what he's learned, and he's put it into great use. But that's it for us tonight, boys and girls. Appreciate you guys signing up for this Vapor interview. Gonna sign off here with the schedule. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, this will be the first ever edition of any live show. Now, of course, you guys know the podcast, but we're trying something new. We're going to do a live show. It's called Super League Live, BKK 2025. Looking forward to it. It's going to be about the operations of Super League, so what goes into making Super League. Of course, the list making, the graphics, and even just the live shows and all that, the planning behind it. And we'll talk about the D2 chip contenders. Then we'll talk about the big one, right? September 8th, the final road. Who will get in? The field of 16, the road to Bangkok will be revealed. The final road, 6 o'clock, Monday, September 8th. September 9th, that's going to probably be changed to 7 o'clock. It will not be a 2 o'clock show. I'm going to change that to 7 o'clock. We were going to do 2 o'clock originally, but I realized for something where the field needs to be revealed, we probably should do it as a primetime show. So primetime Tuesday night on the 9th, we are going to break down the 2025 Super League field of 16 contenders. And of course, you got our 4 tournament winners, Vapor, Nick, Mac, G, already in the field. Then we'll do a regular season recap of Super League, or of Super League Live 2025 recap. The guys that finished 17 through 36, all the fun memories of 2025 of the reg season, and share some good times there. And then finally, September 10th, a doubleheader. 1 o'clock, the first one show. The second show at 7 o'clock, the Week 1 opening preview and predictions for said Super League 2025, Groups A and B. Who is going to get it done? Or will anyone get it done? Remember how the Super League format works, group stage. Not guaranteed a winner. And that's the beauty of Super League. You're not guaranteed a winner. It could be a 4-4 tie in the best of 8, the new format that we unveil for the group stage this year. For myself, Vapor, Ard, and Cody Smart, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Vapor, for taking time out of your busy schedule, my friend, to hop on the old cord and do a little interviewing with the boys. For all of us, we'll see you tomorrow for the first ever edition of Super League Live, the BKK 2025 Super League operations, and some D2 championship contenders and where they may be headed for the 2026 season. Okay, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Peace.